A very good morning to you. This is Off the Shelf. I am David Batsoffen, and welcome to the beginning of 2026. Um, Today is something a little bit different, a little bit left of center, a little bit of something that makes me worry. And it's The Essential Scorpion Sting First Response book by Jonathan Leeming. And I'm joined today by the author, Jonathan Leeming. Jonathan, good morning. Welcome to you.
Yeah, morning. Thanks very much. I'm not quite sure about being left of center. Scorpions are everywhere. I think most people know something about them.
Listen, I only found out that they're everywhere when I was at a particular course, and the head guide said to me, "Have you seen the scorpions that are around?" It was nighttime, and I said, "No." He said, "Bring your black light. Let's go for a walk." Where have you been? And every tap I'd been to, every plate I'd picked up, literally, there were scorpions hiding underneath them.
Most people's introduction to scorpions is rather abrupt. Maybe people don't think about them when they're in the Kruger Park or when they're on holiday, but when there's that interaction, it comes as a bit of a shock to
Yeah.
a lot of people. But scorpions are very widespread. They're just about everywhere within Southern Africa,
Mm.
if you know where to look for them, of course.
Yeah. Now, why this particular book? Because this one is different from all the others that you've produced, Jonathan, where it features where the insects feature and it's the taxonomy and where you can find them, etc., etc. But this book is filled with wonderful information and first-hand stories of what happened to people and their pets and the wildlife. Time for you to answer.
I'll zoom stop for a moment there. So, when I wrote Scorpions in Southern Africa, I thought people would, learn about these things, and we would iron out our values and beliefs towards these animals.
Right.
It's like really, quickly, kind of, came to my attention that, people are more, they want to know if it bites me, will I die? And I use that line in a lot of my presentations. A lot of people want to know what happens when they get stung
Right.
by these things. Are they going to die or something like that? And the answer is no. But there's this morbid fascination on scorpions and scorpion stings.
Mm.
After I wrote Scorpions of Southern Africa, I kind of fell into that role as the guy who, if you get stung by a scorpion, that's the person you need to ask about. And I learned a lot about scorpion stings. I
Right.
got involved with medical organizations like the National Poison Information Helpline. I've been working with them for many, many years. So when people get stung, I normally get a WhatsApp from the National Poison Information Helpline, and together, we can kind of help the individual, that's been stung.
Right.
I got invited to speak at snakebite conferences. What I do is very niche. It's spider bites and scorpion stings. So it's a very kind of niche thing.
Mm.
But I seem to own that. So I'm the kind of right guy to be able to write this book. I'm involved with medical organizations. I speak at medical conferences. I know the guys that make the anti-venom, etc., and the people that actually treat the patients. So I'm really kind of the right person in the middle of everything to create a book like this. I
Now,
also
yeah,
thought that,
I'm just going to lean out of shot for a moment. Keep talking because
okay,
I
go
put
for
I
it.
put your book just too far to get from where I'm sitting.
You mean this book?
This book.
Yeah, it's a-
Right.
so
We're back.
there's a lot of misinformation about scorpion stings, and it seems to be like common knowledge. There's something I always kind of butt up against that if everyone knows the wrong thing, it must be right because everyone knows it. And there's a lot of that when it comes to, what do you do when you get stung by a scorpion? So I decided to, okay, let's chip away at some kind of manuscript which is going to be based on the latest science, which comes from the National Poison Information Helpline. And there's a lot of new research out there. I do a lot of speaking about values and beliefs. How two people can see a scorpion. One person thinks this is amazing and wants to pick it up and take photos, and this is just brilliant. And the other person is scared to death and wants to beat it, like
A
beat it to
pulp.
death with a roll of new magazine. It's the same scorpion, but what is the difference? And
Yeah.
it's the values and beliefs that we perceive the world. It's interesting how people are afraid of scorpions or who have negative connotations towards scorpions are the ones that are more likely to believe in misinformation. And there's a lot of misinformation out
I
there.
should, Jonathan, I should imagine so because it's interesting. Spider bites and scorpion stings seem to bring out the best slash worst in people, and the go-to is always social media. My ex,
That's it.
whatever, has been stung by whatever or bitten by. What do I do? If you've got time to go onto Facebook and to try and pick the brains of the stupid and the dumb out there instead of getting hold of the National Poison Center or just going to an emergency room, then whatever befalls you, you deserve. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, that's it. We seem to rely on AI nowadays,
Yeah.
asking on Google and asking for medical advice on social media. And all three are terrible, terrible ideas. If you want to find videos of water skiing squirrels and, mindless, inane things like that, then social media is a place to go. But for things that really matter in your life, you
Yeah.
should be speaking to people that, professional kind of medical people
Yeah.
who know these things, people like myself. I always
But
consider
now,
there's two kind of levels of advice out there. There's
yeah.
the renowned experts, the people know who these individuals are. I'm kind of the guy when it comes to spider bites and scorpion stings, and we've got snake bite renowned experts. And then there's those self-proclaimed experts that you get on social media. Handy tip here. You
Mhm.
cannot give a meaningful diagnosis by posting a picture of the scorpion and saying, I don't feel very well. What must I do? You have to understand the whole history of the patient's background. You
Yeah.
really do, to get
Yeah.
a proper indication of what we need to do.
Because you, in
And that's
fact, you cover that in the book. There is a chapter, or not a chapter, but there's a whole. Uh,
you have
uh,
factors influencing symptom severity.
Yeah,
So there's a
it's the
lot of
same
reasons in the book
scorpion,
why
different people have been stung, and the
that's
reactions are so interesting because they vary because of age, because of pre-existing medical conditions, all of that stuff. But
right.
before we get on to that, this venomosity rule of thumb, going from highly venomous to weakly venomous, if you see the scorpion and it's got a thick tail like that, thin pincers, the object of the exercise is not to try and pick it up and get a photograph in order to post the photograph and say, what is this? And then the next picture is you in a hospital bed with drips and all sorts of things going, I shouldn't have touched it.
Yeah, so within Southern Africa, it's estimated that about 5% of scorpion stings require some kind of professional medical intervention. So it's not all
Mhm.
scorpions which are like,
Right.
let's see what we say, let's go medically important.
Mm.
Uh, when I created this venomosity rule of thumb many years ago, the idea was it's a comparison, between the different groups of scorpions,
Yeah.
which is based on their appearance. So we've got some scorpions with large pincers and very, very thin tails, and they're the weakly venomous ones. And to be honest, if you get stung by them, you're very lucky because they very rarely use their venom. And
Mm.
it's literally an itch, and you get a bit of pins and needles for 5 to 10 minutes afterwards. That's all that happens. So
Mm.
it's spectacularly unspectacular. When it comes to the moderately venomous scorpions, you can kind of equate that to a bee sting or even a wasp sting. But the
Okay.
big thing is, but you know, the other ones are highly venomous scorpions. Those are small pincers or like thin pincers or weak pincers, whatever you want to call it, and a very, very thick tail. And when you look at the natural history kind of aspects of these three groups, it really explains why we get some scorpions that are highly venomous, with all these
Mm.
physical characteristics, and other scorpions with big pincers and very, very thin tails with extremely weak venom.
Jonathan, you
Scorpions have
may,
been around about 450 million years,
okay,
which is
them and the
before the
crocodiles.
dinosaurs, before
Yeah.
sharks, before trees. They had a long time to adapt to their
Yeah.
environment.
But
This is a good example of it.
But now you mentioned that they will try not to sting because is it the same as in snakes, where snakes don't want to waste venom on something that they can't eat? So biting a human being, for instance, is just a waste of the venom because the human being will stumble off
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
go and seek medical attention, and they've got to rebuild their poison supplies.
Yeah, absolutely. Venom is a very important resource for any of the venomous creatures out there.
Mm.
And what they try and do, they try to kind of scare away the threat. And if
Right.
you equate it to snakes, think
Mm.
about Mozambique spitting cobras. They rear up and spread a hood. Puff out as you make that hissing noise. Scorpions try and run away. They try and hide. There's all these different kind of mechanisms which they use to
Yeah.
try to not use their venom. But if you continue to piggle and poke them and beat them with a U magazine and spray them with doom, they're going to defend themselves. And the best way for a lot of species to defend themselves is using their venom.
Yeah.
But you have to remember that they can regulate the amount of venom that you inject, sorry, that the scorpion injects.
Right.
And what we find, by looking at the data, is that if people stand on a scorpion, then it's a life and death situation for that scorpion because you're
Correct.
killing it, especially if I stand on it.
Yeah.
And they inject as much venom as they can. So patients that stand on scorpions get far worse, symptoms. If
Mm.
you leave your shirt on the ground and a scorpion crawls in, and you put your shirt in the morning, because it's not a life and death situation, it's normally a mild sting. And this
Mm.
kind of thing is very clear when you have a look at the data. If you look at snakes, people who try and kill or catch snakes, when they get bitten, it's far worse than random encounters with snakes.
Right.
It's
For
exactly
for
the
the
same
same
principle for
reason.
all venom.
Now you mentioned
Yeah, for the
earlier, and
same reason. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you mentioned anti-venom. Is this available for scorpion and spider bites? And is it available in major centers, or how do you have to locate where there is a supply should you require it?
So anti-venom has been a really hot topic the last maybe 12 months.
Mm.
We've had one manufacturer of our anti-venom. So very quickly, we've got polyvalent snake, which is for the 10 species of snake that normally bite people. That's the mambas, the elders, the cobras, and the rinkos. We've
Mm.
got monovalent boomslang, which is for boomslang bites. Then we have a scorpion anti-venom. And then we have what we call latrodectus antivenom, which is manufactured for uh, let's kind of black button spider bites, but we also use it for brown button spider bites.
Okay.
So about 12 months ago, we ran out of scorpion antivenom. Because we've only got one supply, there's a bit of a risk there. So they stopped the production for one, like, I'm not going to get into it, but one reason or another. So
Mm.
we didn't have scorpion antivenom for about 12 months. The
Right.
good news is that they're back in production. We do have scorpion antivenom that's available right now. It's the 10th of December.
Okay.
It's out there, it's in the hospitals, it is available. The Latrodectus or the spider antivenom, we only get that at the end of the month. So
Okay.
don't get bitten by a black button spider.
Yeah. Whatever
It's not
you
going to be a
do,
very
stay
pleasant
away from the spiders for now. Snakes,
Yeah.
not a problem.
When it comes to
Scorpions,
availability of
go out,
scorpion antivenom, just
go
very
out and
quickly,
get bitten.
when it
But
comes to
the book, Jonathan, is not a huge guidebook. It's a nice small pocket-sized book that you can carry with you. People tend to say, "Oh, is there an app for that?" Which is my next question. Because people don't want to carry books anymore. They want apps on their phone. They want to load that up rather than just slipping this into a backpack. And it's not a huge tome like the Roberts Birds of South Africa that you need a Fender trailer to schlep around with you.
So you've touched on a very good point in today's kind of understanding the world. We seem to want to reduce everything into a quick soundbite
Mm.
or a 2 minute like TikTok video, which is going to save ourselves from ourselves. And it's not like that. When you understand the kind of whole process from A to Z, let's say, you get that fundamental understanding which you apply in any kind of situation. I think in today's world, people want like a one-liner,
Yeah.
and there is no such thing. So once you read the book, you will get that mindset of
Mm.
how to apply any kind of situation. The apps that we have, they're just not very useful. They're not good at, to be able to work which species is which. They're normally like one screen type of app. So you get like a species, and it's one picture and a little bit of a description, and that's about it. You need a bit of a kind of deeper dive, unfortunately.
Right. Now
No app at the moment. I don't
these
think there will be.
okay, good. That answers that question. These parabuthas, I was at a camp recently and almost stepped on one. I was walking past it. Luckily, the guide saw it before I did. But these things, not this particular one, but the Transvaal parabuthidae, are so huge that I thought it was coming to carry my luggage to my tent. And I would have gladly handed the suitcase over and watched it scuttle off into the darkness.
Yeah, so we've got three species that are responsible for a very small amount of deaths within southern Africa. Parabuthus transvaalicus is one of them. The one you've got on the screen now isn't Parabuthus transvaalicus. That's the one from Namibia. That's called
Right.
Parabuthus villosus. But the three species that are responsible for deaths are large in size,
Mhm.
and it's just like when you have brandy and Coke, right? If you have brandy and Coke, what happens? Nothing, because it's brandy, right?
Yeah.
But if you have brandy and Coke, what happens? A completely different outcome. So the more venom that goes into you, the more profound the symptoms will be. And
Right.
it's the same thing with scorpions. So the larger scorpions, if you've got two scorpions, one is that big and one is that big, this one can inject more venom. I mean, the
Yeah.
same species, in, this one can inject a lot more venom, so the more profound the symptoms will be. So it's the largest species of highly venomous scorpion, coming back to the venomosity rule of thumb,
Yeah.
that are predicted to cause, let's say, kind of greater
There's
symptoms. Not
there's the one
necessarily
that
life,
wanted.
but
Yeah.
greater.
This
Yeah,
is the
that's
one
the
that
one you
wanted to
need
carry
to
my
have
luggage.
in the left box. That's it.
This
Like
is
they march around at night like they own the place.
Jonathan, I'm just thinking if a Parktown prawn had mated with a scorpion, this would be the offspring. And whatever that
I like the
Parktown
sound of
prawn mated with
it.
was deadly dangerous. But they are impressive. But with that, is there any, because people are people, is there any way to safely pick this thing up so that you can photograph it or show it around? Or should I rephrase that question and say, is there any reason that you would want to pick this thing up?
All right. So these creatures really demand a great deal of respect, especially Parabuthus transvaalicus. I mean, let's focus on that one. If you want to pick it up, what I've got very long forceps, and they're
Right,
rubberized at the ends. Pick them up by the tail using those forceps very gently, and I put them into a glass jar, and with a lid that you can kind of close very tightly, and then you can
right.
pass that around. I would
Okay.
be very careful passing a scorpion around on the end of forceps, to the general public. And you must make sure that your containers have got a very tight lid that doesn't
Yeah.
pop off. And incidentally, this scorpion does spray venom. So
Because I
if you
was
leave an
wondering about
open
that
container,
because
yeah, and
because
look too closely, you might
yeah,
get an introduction
yeah.
to
Be-
scorpions.
Because in your book you actually mention envenomation through the eyes,
Yeah,
and I thought, hang on a
yeah.
second, how does this thing sting you in your eye? But now I've got even more to be worried about. Is it going to the bush with jockey glasses on to stop these things from
You know, the,
spraying venom?
they only spray about 300 millimeters. So you really got to hang on the ground poking
Yeah.
like your face to be able to get venom in the eyes. It's a very rare occurrence. I only know of two people ever who've had venom in their eyes, and it's not a very pleasant experience.
I should
But the
imagine
first
not.
side is just like Mozambique spitting cobra venom in the eyes. You just wash it out with lots of fresh water, lots of clean water.
Yeah.
Don't use milk.
And don't use soapy water. That's to wash your mouth out when
No.
you're swearing because you've been sprayed in your eyes with venom.
The other question I get is, can you use urine to wash the venom out? And I'm thinking, if you can pee in your eye, you should be on America's Got Talent. So rather just use lots of water. Milk has no benefit. There's no kind of better liquid than just water.
Right.
And wash the eyes out for 10 to 15 minutes, and then
Yeah,
go see a doctor, an ophthalmologist, because she'll need anesthetic eye drops,
fair enough.
for the next 3 or 4 days. That's
Now,
about it.
how come animals can pick these things up and eat them with seemingly no effects? Things like meerkats and mongoose when
Yeah.
they do bat them around, they seem to have an inordinate amount of fun with them before they eat them. And the
Yeah, I mean,
scorpion stinging them seems to do nothing.
Yeah, you know, scorpions are immune to their own venom as well, so they can't sting themselves to death. So there's something in the immune system which reacts with the toxins
Mm.
inside the venom, which makes them resistant. You know, antivenoms have been manufactured using the same way for probably 100 years now, and
Right.
there's other ways to produce antivenom. So there's a lot of research on creatures like opossums, which can get bitten by rattlesnakes, and there's no effect whatsoever. You
Mm.
know, we understand a little bit more about you know, Cape cobras versus honey badgers. Yeah, honey badgers can be bitten by cat cobras that kill us, but they
Mm.
don't really seem to
The
suffer
honey
any
badger
long-term
just sort of
effects.
rolls over, sleeps it off for a few hours, and then pops
That's
back
it.
up and carries on as if nothing happened.
Yeah, so there is something in their immunity which we don't understand.
Right.
There's a lot of freaky research out there. You know, there's research where you can take a tablet to be immunized or against black mamba bites, for instance.
Right.
Uh, are those things there? So yeah, there's a lot of interest in alternative ways of producing antivenom or treatments for snake bites, spider bites, and scorpion stings
Mm.
that don't involve you know, immunizing horses and things like
Yeah.
that. A lot of that research is actually based on the immune response from other animals and trying to understand it.
Now, I'm chatting to Jonathan Leeming about his most recent book, The Essential Scorpion Sting First Response. Jonathan, you published this book yourself, am I correct?
I did, yes. I kind of hopped around to a couple of publishers, and they said no even before they saw the manuscript. You know, if you're going to tell me my book's crap, please read the manuscript first. But there is hope. Okay, so just hold that thought.
Yeah. I have a writer friend who may be known to you, so I'm not going to mention his name, but one
I
particular book
don't.
of his had 48 rejections. 48 before somebody
Yeah.
went, yes. And if everybody goes, oh, I have a book in me type of thing. Yes, you have a book in you. Keep it there because the publishers don't want it 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, you know the book.
So,
You know the world needs this book. It really does
yeah,
because it's an upgrade in our understanding of scorpions and scorpion stings.
right,
It's been read by the top medical people. You know the National Poison Information Helpline's been through the manuscript.
right.
I presented for kind of first response framework at the uh, Snake Bite Symposium. So yeah, you know the world needs it, and
Yeah,
what we do to better get it out to the world. I mean, that
yeah.
is the next step, I think.
That's the next step, and hopefully it will get out there. Which leads me into my next question: is how do people obtain a copy? Is it online? Is it in
So
bookstores?
it's online at the moment. If you go to scorpions.co.za, you'll be able to
Hmm.
order the book off the website.
Right,
There's a whole lot of free stuff on the website. It's a free course as well, which just kind of you know, provides a fundamental understanding of scorpion sting first response, and the content has been taken out of the book. So if they go to scorpions.co.za,
right.
you'll be able to find information about the book and all the downloads. Alternatively, I can be emailed at info@jonathanleeming.com, which is also on the website, and you can ask about, you know, purchasing a copy of the book there. I also do events and presentations and courses all over
I know
South
you're
Africa.
all over the place. How
It's
long
all
have we
there as
tried?
well.
How long have
Just
we tried
wait.
this conversation? Like,
Just wait.
And because and I know you travel, have book will travel basically. Have scorpions. If you don't have scorpions, I'll bring you scorpions, basically. The book is well worth it,
Scorpions
folks.
market themselves.
Also, how did you find, because you've used case studies in here, how did you find these people?
So a lot of people phone me, a lot of people WhatsApp me.
Mhm.
There's like very short there's kind of descriptions of scorpion stings. It was just illustrates how people get stung, but
Yeah.
there's some longer ones. So I interviewed a lady who stepped on a Parabuthus transvalicus while she was running for the bus late at night, and her kind of account of you know, what she experienced was absolutely amazing. When we start to look at the science, you know, we get like this like of all the symptoms, and it's very dry and it's not very
Mhm.
personal. But when you speak to someone who's actually been through that whole ordeal, it brings it back to very much a personal level. And there's a
Indeed.
lot that we can learn, you know, with case studies. Most of them, there's no need to go to the hospital, but there are those kind of worst cases where going to the hospital is absolutely the right thing.
Yeah.
And I get to hear about these things through the National Poison Information Helpline and also the National Snake Bite Advisory Group that I'm involved with.
But surely, if in doubt, seek medical attention. I mean, it can do you no harm.
Yeah, that's right. So we have the National Poison Information Helpline. It's
Mm.
a toll-free service. There's medical professionals that will answer the phone, okay, and they'll give you very good medical advice for any kind of bite or sting.
Right.
Try and kind of not ask on Facebook and social media because you get the crazies really, responding. But if you do want to phone the Poison Information Helpline, the number is 0861 555 777. So that's it was 0861 555 777. And yeah, you can mention my
Great.
name if you get stung by a scorpion.
Jonathan sent me. Just as a matter of interest, this is not your first rodeo, this book. How many have you written?
No, it's not. It's about the fifth one. Yeah. So I
Okay,
wrote Scorpions of Southern Africa. Uh, there was another book called One World, which is about sustainability, about our values and beliefs towards the environment. And there was a few other training manuals along the way.
great
But
stuff.
this is really going to change the way that we perceive, these creatures. Scorpions of Southern Africa did such a huge amount of good for our understanding for the
Mm.
environment. Prior
I
to
think
that, there
that
was nothing about scorpions.
but
After the
this
book came out, I
yeah,
could
this is the
see
thing,
people were
Jonathan.
getting interested.
Is people don't know. When we grow up, we're terrified. We're taught to be terrified of snakes, spiders, and scorpions for no reason other than our parents and their parents and their parents were afraid of them. And then that chain is never broken, unfortunately. And it needs something like this where you can go to and you can be in a lodge. I mean, you can sit and read this between breakfast and brunch or whatever because it's easy reading. The chapters flow nicely
Hmm.
and you can dip in and out of it. It's what I'd like to
Yeah.
call toilet reading, but in the best sense of the word, because you can put it into a toilet
Okay.
and you can read, you can, you can read it instead of doom scrolling through Facebook to find out what can happen to you if you are bitten by a scorpion or stung by a scorpion.
I would recommend if you've got a nice glass of wine and you're watching a sunset, then please read the book rather.
There you
But when our
go.
values and beliefs are based on what we don't know rather than what we know,
Do know.
what that really translates to, we base
Yeah.
our values and beliefs on ignorance. And I
Yeah.
think that's a terrible way to see the world. I think
Unfortunately,
that's
we do.
one of the reasons why we're living in such a troubled time right now.
Yeah.
And we need to understand the world in an authentic way. And
We
there's
do
lots of ways to.
indeed. The book is called The Essential Scorpion Sting First Response. It's by Jonathan Leeming. It's published by Jonathan Leeming. You can get it from jonathanleeming.co.com. You can find info at Jonathan
Scorpions, that's
Leeming.
the other thing.
Just put Jonathan Leeming into a Google search. Everything will
Ah,
come.
careful.
Jonathan, thank you so very much for joining me here on Off the Shelf. I wish you all the best with the book, and I can't wait for your next one.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Dave.
My guest today on Off the Shelf, Jonathan Leeming. The book, once again, The Essential Scorpion Sting First Response. If you are somebody that's out in the bush on a regular basis, I suggest it becomes part of your library. From me, David Batsoffen, until the next time, bye for now.